All right, welcome everybody. Looks like we're about to get started here. It's 9 o'clock. Thank you for joining us. My name's Tim Cerny. I'm the CEO here at SafetyNet. And with me today is our account executive, Greg Herron. SafetyNet is an IT managed service provider, and we work with companies that have between 20 and 200 PCs. And we really look to align ourselves with clients that really value three things. That is, they value security and want to protect the business that they've built. They see IT as a competitive advantage. And three, they really look to their IT provider as a partner. And so on the idea of partnership, we see a responsibility to educate our clients and provide guidance and insight into what's happening and the trends within IT, and that's always changing fast, and nothing's changing faster than AI and how it's impacting our business. And that's why we're here today. We're here to talk about artificial intelligence, and specifically Microsoft Copilot, and how to leverage this technology and prepare our business for this technology. And this is coming off the heels of a seminar that we held 2 weeks ago here in Traverse City. That we had over 50 people in attendance, clients and other companies in our community who were excited and interested to get educated on what AI can do, and specifically what Microsoft Copilot can do within the Office 365 ecosystem. And on the heels of that, we were asked to do really kind of a little bit more of a deep dive. At that seminar, we talked at a real high level on its capabilities across all of the Microsoft applications. And so we've really launched this webinar series specifically to address some practical ways to leverage Copilot within Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and potentially some other applications within the ecosystem. So with no further ado, I'll turn it over to our Microsoft Copilot subject matter expert and account executive, Greg Herron. Take it away, Greg.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, everyone. If you came to our presentation 2 weeks ago at NMC, you found that I did an overview, as Tim said, of the different applications with the recorded script that I went through. Today, we're going to actually use Word and Copilot. This is going to be real time, so I'm going to be actually using Word and typing in commands in Copilot. The reason I stress that, I mentioned it at my earlier presentation, is Copilot's in its infancy stage. So they're constantly rolling out new features. And because it's cloud-based, the updates are continuously coming out. It also means that when I type in a query, a natural query, and I run that same natural query twice, I'll get a different result possibility. So I just warned you of that as we get started this morning. So I'm going to jump right into doing Word.
And Greg, let me interrupt, because I think I forgot to mention to the audience that if you have any questions, let's as I speak, the Blue Angels are ripping over the top of our office here, so forgive me, it was a bit of distraction. To ask questions, just feel free to use the chat. We'll try to keep things moving that way, and we'll capture those and answer those questions either on the fly, or we'll save some time at the end to get to them. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Tim. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Word, and just kind of some basic navigation in here. When you first open up Word, it's going to give you the icon where I can select Copilot off to the side here. And that is where I want to actually issue commands. So when I want to modify the document or create content, this is where I'm going to be doing it. The Copilot up on the toolbar is when I want to ask questions of the document. So if I'm starting out creating a brand new document or wanting to create content, I'm going to click here. So I'm going to go ahead and click. And I just thought I'd start out this morning with something kind of fun that maybe some of you can relate to. is, let's say that you were in charge of, for your organization, of coming up with some fun team building events. And you're like, gee, where do I start? Well, you can come into Word and type in the command. And I'm saying, list some ideas for some fun team building events. Ensure that the list contains innovative and engaging ideas that encourages collaboration, boosts morale, and ensures a memorable experience for all participants. Please also include a brief description of each idea, the expected outcomes for team morale and cohesion, and use bullet points for clarity and add some emojis for visual represent each idea. Now, why do I say that? The more information that you give Copilot in your natural query, the better results that you'll get. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say generate. And again, this is real time. So it's going through not only my tenant, my Microsoft environment, my SharePoint, so it may pull team building activities that we've previously done as ideas, as well as it's pulling off the internet. So you'll see it's starting to build it.
I suppose, Greg, too, it would be helpful to even add a geography if you wanted to, add in the Farmington Hills area or in Traverse City, Michigan, area. It would look within those geographies too.
Oh, exactly. And that's as a good point, Tim. The more information you give it, the better the results. But I'm going to scroll up through here and look how quickly it did that. Now think of how much time it would take for you to maybe come up with some ideas. So here it's saying the escape room challenge. It added an emoji. It says it divides your team into smaller groups. They work together. This activity will enhance their problem solving communication. Here's one, a cooking contest, a trivia night, a scavenger hunt, an improv workshop. Well, I might take a look at that and I go, that's pretty good. However, I'd like some more ideas. I don't like everything that it came up with. So I'm going to come down to the prompt down here. This is modifying the current result that it came up with. And so I'm saying, what are some additional ideas for a team building event? So think about this. This would be the same as if you were having a discussion with a coworker, right? And you're doing team building events and you say, what are some more?
Mhm.
The other thing I want to mention is at the start of this, we talked about Copilot, and you saw the picture of the autopilot from Airplane.
Mhm.
The idea is that it's a tool to help you, but it's your document. So you're responsible for any grammatical errors, any spelling errors that may be in here. And so I don't always know what it's going to return. So I'm still responsible for that. So I'm going to scroll through here. You'll see that it added more ideas. Also down here, see how it has 2 of 2? And I can say, well, what was number 1? I can go back to number 1, look at number 1, and look at number 2. It kind of reminds me of going to the eye doctor, right? Is it better 1? Is it better 2? I can come down here and add another comment. You'll see in the example here, it says make it more professional. I could say make it more casual. The other thing that you can do is I'm going to say, you know what, I like number 1. So I'm going to go back to number 1 and I'm going to say keep it. So now here it is, it kept it. So you know how I said before, now I can query this. Well, maybe one of the questions I have is, boy, what's the benefits of doing each one? Well, I can cut, you'll see over here, I can, I can understand more, I can ask more, so I can ask anything. You'll see that Copilot tried to come up with some sample questions, but I'm going to go ahead and key in my own question. I'm going to say list the pros and cons of each of the ideas. And so it's querying the document, querying everything that I put in there. And I could do this with any content. I just did the team building exercise as an example, maybe we can all relate to. And so as you see, it keeps you updated. And so how slick is this? It's saying the escape room challenge, here's the pros: enhances problem solving communication. Cons, may not be suitable for everyone. Cooking contest fosters creativity and collaboration. Cons, requires kitchen facilities. Well, here's the really great thing with it. If I say, boy, I like those and I'd like to include them in my document, I can hit copy. It will copy it and I can paste it into my document. So again, the key difference is this just queries the document. Over here, builds it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to close out of here. The other thing I can do is if I highlight the existing content that's here, and I come down here, you'll see the Copilot lit up. But what's different now is I can say I want to auto rewrite it. So I can give it commands again and say, I don't like it, still rewrite it. Or I can say, you know, I'd like this information in a table. What does it look like in a table? So it's going through, reading through that data. Now think about it, if you were doing this table yourself, you'd have to go, okay, I go into insert table.
Greg, are you able to expand that window a little bit larger?
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
I just condensed it because when I hit the icon, it goes off the screen.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That thing. So you see how quickly it built it. So here it said, here's the ideas and here's the description. And so it built that table, including the emoji over there. So see how good that is. I can again key in commands, but I can say, hey, I want to keep it. So you can see how quick that was to go ahead and build a document. I could leave this in, I could delete it and just keep my table. But that was an easy, fast way to build the table that normally, would take me a while. So, when I showed this to my team earlier, they said, well, Greg, that's really nice, but I could use any AI tool for it. Why would I want to pay for Copilot? Well, I want to be inside, so I'm going to do a new document. I'm going to do a new blank document. And I'm going to pick on safety net. And I'm going to say, hey, we're celebrating our 20-year anniversary. So I would like to create a press release.
I think what you're saying, Greg, too, is one of the things that's really powerful and unique about Microsoft Copilot, right? And that is, if we go out and use ChatGPT, we're grabbing anything off the web. That last example is one that you probably could do in many other AI engines, but ChatGPT and those other tools don't have access to our proprietary information, things that are unique and within our saved information. So that's the power that this has, right? We can leverage our documents, our data to build documents real rapidly.
Yeah. And so you can, in some other tools, do that, but you're sharing your data to the World Wide Web. Anything here stays within the tenant. So if you use a public AI tool, there's a lot of them available. You could upload that file, but it would be shared to the World Wide Web. So I'm saying create a press release celebrating SafetyNet 20-year anniversary. And I'm going to say, but I want to be using our core values and guiding principles to write that statement. So we here at Safety Net have a set of core values and guiding principles. And so when we're making the press release, we would like it to encase that into our press release. Now, what it's also doing, which is somewhat dangerous, if you will, in a live demo environment, it's going through our tenant and pulling all kinds of information about Safety Net. But you see it's starting to build it. It's generating it. It's in Safety Net, a leader, provider of IT services, found it in 2004, marks it, has its guiding principles. So it's still building it, and I can scroll through it as it's building it.
One of the things I found interesting too is if you want to kind of give it parameters on the size of the document, number of words that you want the press release to be written within, it also keeps that in mind too as it builds that out.
Yeah, so I can come back and say, boy, that's pretty lengthy. And so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say, make it two paragraphs. So to your point, Tim, yeah, I can say, boy, that was really good, mm-hmm. But now let me modify it and add, and condense it down to 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, very good.
So the other thing I can do, which is this is a standard Word document, is I can go and insert now my company logo on there. And again, I can go back and forth here. I can also go change my original prompt because I find that, it did it. The other thing I can do is I can say regenerate. I told you to do 2 paragraphs. I don't like what you gave me. I want you to regenerate it. So the thing to keep in mind is you do not have to accept the first result that comes back. So you can say regenerate. I can say, condense it, summarize it, put it in a table format. So that's as an example of using our tenant and going through and pulling a press release. And so it does it very quickly, as opposed to if I said, okay, here's our core value statements and our guiding principles. I want to write that in there. It's going ahead and doing it. And as Tim mentioned, the jets are flying overhead right now, so I don't know if you can hear that, but
it's sounding good, Jeff, or Greg. It's sounding great.
Okay, good. So anyway, it's going ahead and doing that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say keep it. And then, like I said, I can go ahead. This is mine, right? So I'm going to take a look at it and say, yep, that's good. Sometimes it gets wrong. Who's the founder? Here, it got it correct. Kevin is the co-founder. But see down here, it says, I don't have your information. I need you to fill that in. So again, you're working in partnership with Copilot. That's why they call it Copilot. Let's take another example of doing something from within my tenant. I'm going to go ahead and just create a new blank document. And in this case, I'm going to be posting a job, right? And usually when I create a job posting, I already have a description of the job that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead. And I'm going to say create a job posting using, and I can either say reference a file, or you saw me earlier, just type a slash, and I'm going to say e-bike account executive. The nice thing is, if you notice, I'm not like in a traditional system, I'm browsing to the path. I'm not. I'm just typing in what I'm looking for. And it's going to go ahead and generate it. So it is taking a look at that and pulling in those, what are we looking for in that job position? And so it's telling a little bit about who we are. Now,
Greg, if I could
mhm,
ask a clarifying question. So the backslash that you wrote there um, signified that you were going after a file in your file system, and
yep,
you kind of knew the name of it. So it was backslash e-bike, and then it pulled up a few options for you to select which file you're referring to.
yep,
It's good
yep.
to know.
Yeah, so the more I type in, and now it's more like a keyword search as well. If I'd have just
Okay.
typed job description, it would have pulled up multiple job descriptions. So
Okay.
in the sense of keeping it, you know, um, moving along here. Now, the other thing I can do, right, is I can say, hey, I want to make this more casual. Um, this job posting just sounds a little bit too formal for me. So I'm going to click down here. I'm going to say make it more casual. So you see this is the generate button that I've been clicking. And so it's going to take that and make it a little more uh, casual. Come join our awesome sales team. Help us sell our cool and green products. And so you can see as you can watch it as it builds it. And because it pulled this from our job description that, hey, we would like a bachelor's degree, 3 years of proven experience, good at MS Office and CRM software. So the nice thing is you don't have to, you can leverage what documents you already have without having to, um, you know, start over again.
Greg, with
So
just less than 10 minutes left, maybe this is a good time to open it up to questions. I
yeah,
don't think we've had any come in through the chat, but if there are people that would like to um, to ask a question, please maybe raise your hand and we can unmute your account, or drop the question in the chat button or in the chat feature there, and we'll do our best to answer that. The obviously an exciting and if new technology, Greg, that from a business owner perspective and a business leader perspective, just screams efficiencies, speed in which our team and myself can get work done at a completely different rate than what was previously capable. I know in the example that you had a couple in our seminar last 2 weeks ago. It looked to me like a problem that was we were trying to solve that might take 3 days that was accomplished in an hour and a half. I mean, it was just an incredible demonstration of the power of AI and what it's capable of.
yeah, and one of the things that we have to remember, Tim, and that's a good point to kind of keep in mind, is that when we are working in Copilot, what's really important to get good results is that we include details. So if you look at my the idea about the team building exercises, very detailed. Um, Also give it source, like in the case of our press release, I said, go here and find it. Also, make sure you tell Copilot what to do. Be very explicit. Don't say, don't do this, just do it. As I also demonstrated, make sure you regenerate and sometimes iterate like, hey, make it more casual. But the key point to remember is always review and verify.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in that previous example that one of them that you provided, I recognize a number of errors that would require review and edits prior to publishing for sure.
Yeah. So that's the big thing is remember that it's still that document still comes from you, still, says this is Greg's work product. So it does speak to you. So
So it looks like we do have one question. Tim Dutmers has asked, how can we access this recording after the presentation? Jenny, how will you be um, putting this out for public consumption?
Sure. So after this webinar wraps up, we will have a link to the recording that we'll send out to all registered attendees, whether they were actually physically at the webinar or unable to be here. So that link will be accessible to anybody who has the direct link. And then we will also be publishing it to our YouTube channel once this webinar series wraps up in a few weeks. And you'll be able to access it there if you have that link as well.
Awesome, Jenny. Thank you. Ming Mays has asked a good question too, one that has come up internally here at SafetyNet initially when we started utilizing it. It's about how it sometimes functions only with the web versions of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Greg, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, something, and that's a good question that I forgot to highlight. You have to use the new version of Word for the desktop. So the web always uses the new version, but for desktop, you have to make sure that you are in the new version of Word. So, and that goes through for all their products. So like Teams and whatever. The other thing is just make sure, just verify that the license is assigned to the user. But that's a very good question.
And there are different versions of licenses too, Greg. Do you want to speak to that and what the differences are?
Yeah, so what we demonstrated today is Copilot for Microsoft 365. There are other Copilot licenses. And so some of them, I mentioned in the presentation 2 weeks ago, like you can go to copilot.microsoft.com, and that you get as part of being a Office 365 basic standard or professional user. So.
Ming's follow-up question was a good one too, and that is, are we referring to a new version of Microsoft Office 365 or a new version of Word, new version of Outlook?
Yeah, so in Outlook specifically, you'll see there's a button at the top of Outlook that says new, and you have to slide that to new to get the new version. Microsoft came out with a different product to a different interface to work with it. So you have to make sure you have the latest installed and you're using the new version.
Yeah, my guess is that it's their way of kind of doing a soft release of the product that they're going to force us to use here in the near future. Yeah. So I've been doing my best to get comfortable with it. It goes well beyond just Word or an Outlook. It's across all of the Microsoft applications, and as Greg indicated, is the only way to utilize Copilot in its fullest capability within the Office 365 environment.
Yeah, and Jenny just was kind enough to post in the chat where that slider bar, for Outlook is. You just, slide it to new. I know it seems strange, but you're right, Tim. They're getting us ready for.
Yeah, no problem. Well, this seems like a good time to wrap up, Greg. We'll say that that was our last question. You want to take us wrap things up?
Yeah, so the other thing I just wanted to point out very quickly is if you say, how do I get started? You talk about prompts. I included a link here to prompts that you can get in on the web. And this is Microsoft Copilot Lab link. You'll see that I just selected Word. They have them for all of the apps, but it gives you some ideas of what I can do. Write more confidently. How do I? So included that. So.
And I would add that that's an important part of leveraging AI. It's not just your typical Google search, as Greg indicated early. The more creative, the more detailed we are in what we ask artificial intelligence to do, the better the results. And so there's a whole learning opportunity for each of us in getting better at those prompts and asking the questions. So that's a great link to have access to.
Yeah, and then we have upcoming webinars for Outlook and Excel. So if you go to our Safety Book website, go to events, you will be able to sign up. The next one is in 2 weeks at 9 a.m. on Thursday. If you have any questions, about anything you saw today, reach out to your account manager, or you can send an email to info@safetynetinc.com.
Well, thank you very much for to everybody who was able to attend and those that will consume this webinar down the road. Thank you, Greg, for the content and your expertise in this, and we'll continue to try to do our best at educating all of our clients and our community in these topics, because it's hot topic right now, and we're going to do our best to help you all leverage this technology. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll
Thank
talk
you.
soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.